Congratulations to graduates in our country. Case in point, Vice President JD Vance delivered the commencement address at the U.S. Naval Academy's graduation today. The Marine Corps veteran spoke about his recent trip to the Middle East and said that the U.S. will no longer send the military on missions unless there is what he calls a specific set of goals in mind. So let's play back some of his remarks.
The Trump administration has reversed course. No more undefined missions. No more open-ended conflicts. We're returning to a strategy grounded in realism and protecting our core national interests. Now, this doesn't mean that we ignore threats, but it means that we approach them with discipline and that when we send you to war, we do it with a very specific set of goals in mind. And consider how this played out in just the last major conflict we engaged in with the Houthis over in the Middle East. We went in with a clear diplomatic goal, not to enmesh our service members in a prolonged conflict with a non-state actor, but to secure American freedom of navigation by forcing the Houthis to stop attacking American ships. And that's exactly what we did.
All right, so let's build on that conversation. CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata joining us live on a Friday from the Pentagon. Charlie, what are your biggest takeaways from his remarks there?
Hey, Reed, I think, first of all, we have to consider his audience, right? This is the Naval Academy because there's going to be a lot riding on this generation. No surprises, he's doubling down on his own isolationist leanings by saying, in his words, a long experiment of meddling with other countries is over. But he also addressed the serious threats from to the United States from countries like Russia and China, specifically, saying his words, they're determined to beat us down in every single domain. Technology has lowered the cost of destruction. Troops, which you mentioned there, will be sent to war with the right tools. The Defense Department as a whole, the White House, both have made shipbuilding a priority, specifically when it comes to dealing with the threat with China, because, frankly, the Chinese are outpacing the United States in that domain and have been for the last decade. He also ended by noting that this commencement takes place really over Memorial Day, right? Reminding sailors that when people say Happy Memorial Day, the sentiment is there, but it's a reminder that Memorial Day is not a happy day. It's a remembrance of those who served and did not make it home.
Served and were young, just like the people we saw about to toss their hats there at that graduation ceremony. May we never forget, Charlie. President Trump is set to depart the White House this afternoon and plans to give the commencement address at West Point Military Academy. So they're hitting all of these high-profile academies. We've heard the president repeatedly take credit for a boost in military recruitment. But CBS News crunched the numbers and found a shift happened before his reelection. What can you tell us?
Right. So Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth likes to refer to it as the Trump bump. But as our colleague, Ellie Watson, that's off to her, found in a deeper dive, crunched those numbers, and they were already headed up before Trump took office. And while both Trump and the Defense Secretary say recruitment is at a 30-year high, when you drill down into it, that's actually still less than recruitment numbers only a decade ago. And those numbers were already on the rise after a pandemic slump. He's also claimed that recruitment fell to record lows under the Biden administration. And that's just not true, because the data shows the recruitment rose year on year, even month on month, after rebounding after COVID-19. There have also been some important reforms in recruitment, including significantly a pay rise to new recruits. So, yes, the numbers are up, but they're already headed up before the president's reelection.
Charlie, we want to shift to something else that you've been reporting on. The U.S. Army is bringing back horse-drawn funeral carriages at Arlington National Cemetery. That program was suspended, we know, years ago after the deaths of 2 horses. So what can you tell us about why it's coming back now?
Yeah, you know, it's a story that we've been covering for years. Actually, David Martin was covering it before I was. And first of all, Congress voted earlier this year that the horse-drawn services are here to stay. And they put their money where their mouth is. They more than increased the budget by tenfold to $10 million. Our story really focused on the problems that the Army was facing in terms of the treatment of the horses that are assigned to draw those caissons. They had to put it on hold because 2 horses died. More were found lame or suffering from saddle sores. and we're talking about dozens of them. So dozens of horses have been retired, some sent to farms actually specializing in rehabilitation. They brought in Olympic gold medalist David O'Connor, and he's now the head of the U.S. Equestrian Federation. He said, look, the soldiers admitted they just didn't have enough knowledge. He also noted that they're Army soldiers in the end. They're not equestrians. And there's a turnover between 1 and 3 years, right? So he's devoted his entire life to horses and animal welfare. And they were sometimes carrying out 30 horse-drawn funerals a week. That number is now down to 2 a day. Some of the soldiers we spoke to said they'd never even been on a horse before entering the program 15 months ago. And, they were choking up. It means a lot to them to be able to honor their fellow servicemen. And obviously, I recommend going onto the CBS News website to watch that story if folks haven't seen it on the evening news already. But I would say that.
Deeply rooted symbolism in these United States. And once again, and I know you would echo this, Charlie, congratulations to everyone who graduated today, and also a thanks to those who sign up to serve our nation. Charlie D'Agata, great to talk to you there live from the Pentagon.